Guess I'm running out of interesting places to stand and face down here in the corrals, but even the side of a hill is still going to be more interesting to look at than my face. So hopefully somebody will find something in the audio that'll make up for the video and these things. Several years back, I wrote a short article called the Iktomi analogy, and trying to think of several different somewhat related topics to make videos on today. That one popped into my head. Iktomi is the trickster. It also means a spider in Lakota, but for the purpose of this kind of a discussion, Iktomi is the trickster. There's a real long, involved story about Iktomi and different transformations of Iktomi, and kind of similar to Sun Wukong in ancient Chinese stories, or in English they'd call him the Monkey King. And actually, if you look in different cultures, you can find this character known by different names everywhere. And then for today's world in this land, if you were to consider what Iktomi represents or embodies, and then another what they call mythological Lakota character, Ia, who's in English we call him the glutton. If you look at Ia and Iktomi, you can see both of those characteristics in the government of this colony, or the leaders of this world. I guess they've taken over a hell of a lot more than just what they call the United States now. But anyways, the original, there's a whole lot of Iktomi stories. They're children's teaching stories, but my favorite one has to do with Iktomi going for a walk, looking for an easy way to get something to eat, and he sees a bunch of ducks on a pond, and so he grabs a bunch of sticks, puts them inside of his blanket, bundles it up, carries it on his back, and acts like he's in a hurry, goes past them, and gets their attention, and they make inquiries into what he's got and where he's going, and he pretends not to be interested, and I'm in a hurry, he says, I gotta go, I have these sacred songs I have to take to the ceremony, and cons him into asking him to tell us about it, let us hear some of your songs, and pretty much acts the same way that a government agent or a drug dealer or anybody else in that line of business would act. And so Iktomi says, okay, I've got one, but because these are so sacred, these songs, you have to close your eyes when you dance, and if you open your eyes, something's going to happen to you, he says. So he cons him into doing that, and then he pulls one of those sticks out of his blanket, and he starts singing a song and hitting the ground with this stick, and every time one of those ducks dances close to him, he smacks it over the head and kills it. And he starts collecting a whole bunch of ducks, and then one duck gets kind of suspicious, and so he opens an eye and he peeks over to see what Iktomi is doing. He sees what's going on, and so he opens his other eye and he yells at his buddies to take off, and tells them, hey, Iktomi is killing us, and they fly away. And then Iktomi has power, he's not a dummy, and that one, on account of he told the others, even though he did right, he was a hero, but like they say, no good deed goes unpunished, and so that duck's eyes got turned red. And then from that time on, now all the descendants of that duck, that species of duck, has red eyes. And there's a lesson in that if you think about it, the realization that you'll come from, that you can get from that. And there's a children's game and a song that goes along with that story, or comes from that story, I should say. And when I play that game and I sing that Hoshi Shiba song, then the kids pinch however many they pinch each other's skin on the back of their hand hard, and whoever gives up and pulls his hand away, then they all laugh and they say, "Hey, you're the tattletale," or you're the one who told," and they all tickle him or whatever. And it's a good way to teach children when they're young that just because you do the right thing, it's not going to go easy for you. And if you're up against a real powerful entity, then when you do the right thing, you're going to get punished for it. But still, for the future of your people, you still have to do it anyways. So that's my Iktomi analogy. A lot of people, even Indian people, think that these old stories, especially little, silly little children's stories, they think it has no purpose in today's world. But in reality, it does, like that one exhibits. So when I see how far off that my own people have strayed, then I feel a need to say something. And I've already been punished by Iktomi for opening my mouth more than once, but I still do it anyways. And there's a lot of analogies, if you sit and think about it, that you could get from that. Like they say, you have all your ducks in a row. That's how it is. Uncle Sam has all his ducks in a row. He occupied our lands and our communities to a certain degree until he knew that the leaders would be his puppets. Did the same thing. They went to Iraq, they stayed there, invaded them, did the same thing, lied about them, demonized them, killed as many as they could, almost destroyed their land and their culture, and they stayed there long enough to make sure that they had those people always fighting amongst themselves, and to make sure that the leaders would always be puppets of the United States. And so you see, Uncle Sam has his ducks in a row. The white man is Iktomi. The white man is Iya. He's never satisfied like Iya. And he's always doing things to trick you, to make fools out of you, like Iktomi. So once you get beyond the point of thinking, well, okay, fine, that's a cute little story for small children, then think about it. Think about the adult perspective of all of that. And hopefully, if you haven't already, that'll kind of help to get you on the road towards decolonization.